call this workshop to order. Joe, would you like to?
We're going to go ahead and just jump into, we brought the social media item to the commission and decided we needed to do a workshop on it. So we've got a couple of, Scott's been to a couple of conferences and learned a little bit more about social media and what we should or shouldn't be doing. So this is a good opportunity for us to just kind of run through the policy, see what concerns the commission has. This is a policy that we're going to end up instituting and applying to the employees, but some aspects of the policy also will apply to elected officials. This is talking about the city's social media pages. So I'm going to let Scott kind of jump in, and then we'll field questions as we go and see if we can reach any conclusions by the end.
So first, I want to play this. It's about 3 minutes long, which kind of really hits on the elected official part.
Posting information on an upcoming event. Holly gave you a couple of examples of a great way to promote events through social media. And of course, those official publicized posts, those would be public records. Posting images from a commission or council meeting, a great way to let the public know what's going on. Holly had pictures of giving awards and a mayor giving an award to members of staff. Great stuff. And obviously a public record, official communication. What about a social media exchange between a resident and a member of city staff that occurs, say, on Facebook or on Twitter? Is that a public record? That probably is. And again, it's going to be something we're going to need to archive. And then we get into the really interesting one. What happens if we have two public decision makers, two members of the county commission, two members of the city council, who, in my favorite example, they're both following someone on their friends in that social media euphemistic sense of friends on some community activist Facebook page. So they're both their friends, and the community activists post something about an interest or concern about what's happening in the city or the county and ask for people's comments. And so you have various citizens commenting, and then you have one commissioner commenting, and then another commissioner responds. Well, that communication, if it's about subject matter that could reasonably come before the county or the city, sounds like a meeting, just like the two of them exchanging notes or sending letters to each other. And now we have two problems. One, that's almost certainly a public record, even though it's occurring on somebody else's Facebook page. And they just had a meeting that probably doesn't conform to the standards of sunshine because it wasn't properly noticed. It wasn't held in a place where everybody had access to it, only this person's followers can see it. And there was no agenda, there was no record kept. We probably have the problem of having a record that we have to keep that reminds us that some of our decision makers have in fact had a meeting outside the sunshine. And that is based on what the statute tells us. The Attorney General has interpreted the idea of a meeting to apply to all discussions or deliberation. This goes back to a court case from 1969 and subsequent incidences where we wrestled with this, even a casual interaction. So the challenge on social media is going to be that we have to capture all this activity, probably because it's going to be a public record, and we have to figure out how to help our folks, especially our elected officials and our advisory committee members, learn how to navigate an environment designed to be interactive, but not interacting in ways that violate public meetings law. It's a challenge. Coming back to the public record issue, it probably is the case, based on everything we've seen so far, that regardless of the platform, regardless of who's doing the post, if that post or other material meets the other standards of a public record, then it is a public record, it must be retained, and it must be producible for inspection or copying if requested. When we're doing this as a live presentation, this is the point where I'll turn to the audience and I'll say, think for a moment about forms of communication and different media for communication. And what is the medium of communication that does not create a public record of the content of that communication? And the answer is conversation. Whether we're face-to-face or on the phone, When two people are talking to each other, you don't have a record of that unless it's audio recorded. That's the only one. It seems like every other way that we might communicate, we are probably producing public records, which means we have to keep them, have to collect them, and have to make them available when requested. People often ask at this point, well, what happens if I made a mistake, especially in the social media world, and Holly and I joke back and forth about this. She's much more active on social media than I am, and in fact, if you follow me on Twitter or Facebook, often that's actually Holly and not me that's getting that out there. Moving fast, you're trying to get a lot of information out. There's a misspelled word. There's an inapt phrase. Oh, that's not what I wanted to say. So what if we make a mistake and it's out there on social media? Can we just take it back down, delete it, or edit it, depending on which platform we're on, and we're fine. We don't have to retain the mistake. And we don't have a definitive answer, but I want you to think about the analog to it. So imagine that we are responsible for posting the agenda for the upcoming meeting of the commission or the council or an advisory committee. And I've typed up the agenda, and I go to the place in our local government's main building where we always put it physically up on a bulletin board. And I stick it up on that bulletin board, and I look at it and immediately realize I put the wrong date on it. I take it right back down, I go back up to my office, I retype, make the changes, print it out again, and bring it down. Do I the original erroneous agenda? Well, probably if I literally put it up and took it back down, I don't, because it really wasn't transmitted. It wasn't shared with anyone. However, if I posted it and I walked away, and half hour later, someone else in the office gave me a call and said, hey, Scott, do you realize the agenda you had posted for the upcoming commission meeting or council meeting has the wrong date? Now, I'm still going to go down, take it down, put the new one up. But as a practical matter, the mere fact that at least one of my colleagues saw that incorrect agenda posted makes that a public record, most likely, because it has been communicated. And it would be particularly important to keep it, because if there was someone who saw it and made plans to attend the meeting based on that incorrect information, we would need to be able to respond to their question about what happened and how the meeting ended up being this time, not that time, and we'd have to acknowledge we made a mistake.
Okay, so the other two are going to be handled by our social media policy, because in our social media policy, we're going to be very specific about what our purpose is on social media. And so within our policy, I don't know if you guys read it or not, but you won't be able to have people that are abusive or slanderous or stuff like that, where those comments can be taken down, but yet still have to be recorded. So as it stands right now, our Facebook page, while it allows you to comment, nobody sees those comments except for the person that made the comment. And the way we do that is that Facebook allows us to put in as many words that we want to strike out. So basically I have like 2,000 or 3,000 words in this list, which makes it impossible for anybody to get a comment on our website. And that's why sometimes you'll go up there and you'll see where somebody made one comment or two comments, you click on it and there's nothing there. But if they go to their page, they see it.
But what if, so if it doesn't trigger one of those certain words that you have in there, then it's allowed to be posted and be out there?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
Which has never
In the
happened.
list.
What's that?
He probably has the in the list.
Yeah, I've yet to have anybody do it.
There's a lot of comments that still show.
Well, it depends. I was getting ready to say, the Holly Hill PD page, they allow comments.
Even cussing.
Yeah, as far as I know, yeah.
It comes down. It's like a news story.
Yeah, we don't have a policy yet that would allow us to remove that comment. So therefore, if we were to remove it, we could be held liable in a court. They would say that we've abused their First Amendment right.
Right.
Which is what they did to go after Trump when he was blocking
Because
people.
he blocked, yeah.
Right. So that was the issue there. In our case, with whatever social media policy that we go with, one of the main things that Scott Simpson had said was that we needed to designate our social media as a limited public forum, which basically means it's not a free-for-all. You don't get to just post up there whatever you want. It has to be specific, It's not for campaigning, it's not for attacking your neighbor, it's not for attacking employees. It's basically a way for the city to get information out to its citizens in a helpful and beneficial manner. So with that said, my main concern was making sure that our elected officials realize that even if you're not on our website or our Facebook page, if you're commenting together on somebody else's, that can be construed as a meeting, and you can be held liable for that. And it makes it even more difficult because now I get a public records request, and I don't have control over it. I might not even know the person that you guys may have been talking, So I can't produce the public record. So now the Attorney General wants to know why. Okay, and so then I gotta say, well, this is why. So just be very careful about doing those things.
And also to never delete anything.
That's my second thing, definitely. Don't ever delete something. And I recommend, if you still have them or did have them or don't have them, create an elected official page. Now, don't post from your personal pages. Because this way, when we get a public records request, you sure don't want me going through all of your Facebook posts, okay? You can simply hand over your account information for your elected official, or I can tell you how to do it if you don't know how to do it, and you can give that information to us. So it would make it a lot easier if you had your own publicly official page. I mean, you could put the same stuff you got on your personal page, but just make it
City business
only, yeah. So that's my spiel for the public officials. So did everybody read this policy? Does anybody have any comments?
I saw the original social media policy, but this wasn't in our packet for.
It didn't have our names in it. It was samples, wasn't it? Wasn't the one we got?
You mean
samples?
the
No.
email that
The
we got?
presentation?
The 3?
Yeah.
Yeah,
One was
those
a
were from
sample.
different cities.
Right.
The third one was ours.
Yeah, the third one was ours. This is the one, this came from the same website that I got the one from Northport and modified for our use. And like I told Joe, if you all read through all this and said, well, I like that one better, which according to Joe, Scott Simpson likes the city of Crestview better, then I can simply go in there, replace everywhere it says Crestview with Holly Hill and modify it specifically for us, and that's what we can do. So that's what, we're just kind of looking for some guidance from you guys, if you have any.
The 10,000-foot policy is going to be the same for no matter what we're dealing with. It's a matter of everybody understanding what the expectation is, what you can do, what you can't do. We're going to hold our employees accountable for it. And I think what happened is when we started to bring the social media policy forward at a commission meeting, someone said, well, does this apply to the elected officials? Well, the answer to that at the end of the day is yes. It's going to apply to the elected officials. And that's what brought us to this conversation.
Do you have to have any of this stuff? Being an elected official?
Do you have, no, you don't have to have, you don't have to be on social media.
I'll see you guys at
You're
4:30.
He's not.
Everything that goes on in the city, though, we're pretty good about putting on Facebook. I mean, I see stuff posted all the time,
Yeah.
and I end up sharing it. So that way I'm safe too, because you have the record. But I mean, we're doing a good job now of posting what's going on within the city.
Yeah, we can be better of providing stuff out there that's more timely.
And if what I'm getting at is, I don't really know why we would want to take a chance at all having, my account is my personal account, but also I guess my political account, because there's residents on my, I mean, I let just about anybody on my Facebook now.
Yeah,
But
where you run into a problem is when you allow everybody on your personal page and then they start bashing you,
Right.
and you don't like what they say, you can't just take it down.
Okay.
You have to leave it up there whether you like it or not.
Now, since it's my personal page, can I delete people?
No?
No.
You can
Even with
unfriend them.
No.
That's what I
If you're
mean, if I
using
can
it-
unfriend
if
you.
you're
No, if it's a
using
personal,
it
if you had a separate, if you had
If
a
it's
separate.
only personal and you're not using it for city business,
Right.
but if you use it for city business, then it's got to be open to.
I mean,
That's
the
why,
only city,
that's why Scott's
That's-
recommending getting 2 accounts.
but that's the only city
Just two
business
more
I do
thoughts.
is I share
Right.
their stuff, PD stuff, and
That
whatever you
means
guys
would-
put.
Which
Yeah.
would mean that it has to be public. Yeah.
What I'm hearing
That's
is,
what Trump got in trouble for.
we shouldn't like or share anything on Facebook. We shouldn't
Right.
have an opinion on Facebook. We should have
We should
one.
have Facebook.
We should have one message coming from the city. I mean, because I'm just.
Well, that's what I'm
The
getting
only 3
at.
minutes out of that webinar that were any good, you just listened to. I listened to a whole hour and 3 minutes of it.
I did too.
It explained to me what Facebook was. I mean, we might
Yeah.
let John listen.
I was
to
gonna
it.
say, maybe I should listen to it, right?
But it just seems
Let her
like
make
there's so much at risk for us as elected officials to even like something. I mean, I could pickleball. Who doesn't like pickleball? Well, I pick Tona put something up. I like it, and then I immediately share it.
That's what I do.
And my concern is that a fellow commissioner hates pickleball. Okay, we're doing pickleball, but they say I don't like pickleball, and then all of a sudden now we have mixed messages coming from the city and.
Well, it's not just that, Commissioner, I think that by you liking it, and then another commissioner liking it,
Right.
and this is
Yeah.
going to come before the commission for decision.
Now it's sunshine, yeah.
Now it's a sunshine
No.
violation, whether you agree or disagree.
And that's my concern, is that this thing is so multifaceted that, and I mentioned to our mayor after our last commission meeting, how much I appreciated him not going on social media during the hurricane preparation.
Right.
Because I have other friends on Facebook that are elected officials, and they were telling you, where to get toilet paper and what time Target was gonna open and everything in the world, and there was no unified message from the city. And short of us having a PIO, which we don't, I just think we need to rely on Scott and Nick and whoever is in charge. Who all posts that? You two guys and Cindy?
The Commissioner, what we did was at our hurricane after, or lack of hurricane after meeting, we decided.
Yeah, we had, he meant,
No,
like,
No, like
never
hurricane,
was.
we never
Like
did.
hurricane.
which is fine with
Meaning
us.
after.
Hurricane
One reason I
boring.
told everybody I was
That's
crying
right.
on the phone.
Right.
That's
We're good. We're good.
You didn't post
Um,
like near crying.
Here.
So what we decided was that during these events, I will be the primary and Nick's going to be the secondary. Because that was one of our concerns, even internally. Nick and I, we didn't know who was posting what. Did it get posted? When did it get posted? Was it supposed to be posted? So even just internally, just in staff, we were kind of confused. So yeah, I'm not a PIO, but
Right.
So that's hurricanes. Outside of hurricanes, I've got Scott, Nick, and Val that'll have administrative rights to Facebook that will post things on a regular basis. The relationship with Cindy Delecky, we're gonna end that in October. I think we can handle it internally. I don't think we're getting what I thought we were gonna get. I mean, she's done a good job, but I don't think we're getting the hit, what is it called, views or?
Just
Counts,
yeah,
count.
increased.
How many people are on the Facebook page? However they count how many subscribers or whatever.
Not many.
I think there's
Well,
more in
it's
the
like-
police
the
department.
PD's,
Yeah, it's
the
like
PD's got a lot.
500.
PD has more than,
has-
PD has more than the city.
500, take out you guys, and I'm sure your family, and I'm sure your family in
Yeah, there's
Maryland.
people read
Is it,
Jim, you'd be surprised during Scott, during the hurricane, the traffic went up quite a bit. I mean, like 35%
so I guess you don't have to
during that
subscribe
1
to see
week
it,
period.
is that it?
No, we don't have to allow anybody,
Yeah.
and they can just go to our
Oh,
page.
It's
yeah, I was just
public.
thinking, man, this is a lot of work and a lot of stuff going on for catering to probably 300 people. If you take your family
Right.
members out, if you have to actually
Not only
subscribe
that,
to it, this
a
is
couple
like
people
a big pain in the ass
like
for
it,
that.
so only a few people will like post usually. So it,
Yeah.
keeps
It's
drilling
difficult
down.
to just find our Facebook page.
It is.
I challenge you to go on and
No,
find
it
it in
is.
the first shot.
It's because of Facebook. They screwed us over.
The Ghost Holly Hill account out there that we
Yeah.
can't get rid of, and we've tried, so.
Well, my question along the same lines is with the all duplicate, liking,
Yeah.
sharing, what have you. I also have another concern, and that's because I said something to you about it in a meeting a couple of meetings ago, when people were, well, it might have been a few meetings ago, people were complaining about the speeders on one of those neighborhood, I don't know which one, but, and you were on there saying stuff, and So I told you I couldn't say anything because I knew I wasn't going to get myself into trouble. Those are the things that I'm concerned about. That, and then all the negative comments that spur from that we really can't get a hold of, and then misinformation from that, because there was a lot of misinformation off of that, off of, God, there was another thing that was posted, that there was some, a street paving, there was some misinformation that people were doing with that, but then they were also, oh, well, we like what you're doing, but we thought this one and this one and this one should be done. It's like, you're just getting yourself into
I'm glad
trouble.
Scott had the comments blocked when we posted what paving was occurring
Yeah.
when. I noticed there was a flurry of comments, but because Scott has the piece underneath it, it was not anything unless you walked back and saw it.
Right, well, what I'm gonna do, what I wanna do is after we adopt an actual policy and I have basically the law, I'm gonna take all that out so people can comment.
Okay.
The main thing we talk about, and that was part of the webinar, was used to dispel rumors, and that's not so much this time because we really didn't have much of a storm, but when a couple of years ago when we had that other one, I was basically sitting on there using my own account dispelling rumors.
Yeah.
Right.
Because
Well, I've seen you do that other times too.
yeah.
Well, not often, because, and this is a problem, and I've talked to the mayor about this, and we both agreed that we're not going to agree on this. But there are a lot of people that post things on the on social media pages that are just flat out wrong. And
Yeah, that's what I'm referring to.
But I'm not in a position of going out correcting them. I don't think that's my role.
The mayor was out videotaping about the streets being
Yeah,
paved.
but I mean, aside from that.
And that's a great thing. It should be posted on the city Facebook. And it's a great thing that he did. But then people started posting about how, well, that's a great, thing that you have these, but I think this, and this should have been done. And it's just, you then get all the backlash
Unless
from
I
it.
have someone continuously monitoring social media pages to every time somebody makes a comment that's incorrect and we correct it, I don't think they were in the business for that.
But that's why I'm suggesting that we try to refrain from doing that and sending it through the official Facebook page. If he wants to go out and videotape himself, let him do that and let Scott put it up.
Even if somebody comments on the official city's Facebook page about something that they're wrong about, I don't want to spend time correcting them.
Well, and I think, look, I think something very important at the heart of this matter, and I hear what you're saying, I hear your frustration, is, we are all public officials, but we all also have our First Amendment right.
Right.
Our number one job is our communication with our citizens, period. That's our number one job. And so how I look at social media may be a little different from you guys because I'm from a different generation.
Hey.
So, hey, I grew up with it, right?
I'm a Gen Xer.
That's a compliment for us. He's a millennial.
Today what social media is what the churches used to be. I wish the churches still were. It was where people congregate to talk about things. And Joe and I have had this conversation many times, and I agree that it's not your job to have to go out and find misconceptions and dispel them. But I think, from the last few years, this commission has wanted to be as transparent as possible, as open as possible, and to get information out. I think what has hurt Holly Hill for years and years, we were always behind the eight ball, was information, right? We didn't own our Facebook. People could put whatever they wanted out there. We're doing a better job of getting information out, and look what's happening, guys. I don't know if you've all heard, but the talk of the whole county is Holly Hill. Everywhere I go, there's compliments. And people are really seeing the greatness of Holly Hill. We've always had great things in Holly Hill, but we've never had a way to get them out. And so I look at our job, all of us, we're representatives of Holly Hill. So everywhere we go, no matter what, any day of the week, whether we're out to eat with our family, we're representing Holly Hill. And it's the same way on our social media. So, and I hear what you're saying about it's just easier to get off. You're right. It's just easier to get off and go away and just let it be. But also, what I would say is we are the custodians of our public record. So ask Val how many times I have to send her voicemails. I don't know if you guys are sending your voicemails anytime someone calls you and says anything about the city. I'm sending that to Val because it's a public record. Same thing with all of my social media posts. I actually screenshot them and put them into a file at home, so I have all of those on record. What I would tell you from my experience, and I could welcome you all to go on and read them if you want, on our group, or on the Holly Hill group page, there has been a lot of misconceptions out there. People will put things out there that just aren't true. 9 times out of 10, I don't respond to it unless it's getting traction. When it does get traction, I will say something very measured. I usually wait hours and hours before posting, have it checked, double checked, triple checked. And the conversation you bring up, and I understand your frustration with, there was like 100 comments on this about speed bumps. And so I went on there and I said, I will bring this up to the commission to see how they feel about it. Before I ever comment on anything, before I like anything, I make sure that none of us have liked or commented on it. If you were to comment on that earlier in the day, because it took me like 10 hours to respond to it, if you were to comment on that, I wouldn't have ever responded. I would have brought it up that night at the meeting and said, hey, I saw you were in this. We need to talk about this as a commission. So I think first and foremost, we have to understand the rules associated, and then we have to decide individually if we want to go ahead and create the headache of talking to our constituents and dispelling rumors if they come up. Because it's been in my experience that I've been able to dispel a lot of rumors out there, just in one group alone, the Holly Hill Neighborhood Watch, a lot. And you know, I posted, because it's great news, we're doing this paving project. We need to be gung-ho about telling everybody we're paving because no one else in the county is doing a project like we are, especially our size. So I did a live video, or a video that said, hey, look, we're paving, this is great news. You know, all the props in the world to this commission for moving this city forward, and city staff, you know, we're moving forward. And I said all the information that was put out by, you know, on our Facebook, all the text, I put it on there. There was like over 100 likes on it. That's spreading that positivity, spreading the idea that Holly Hill is moving forward, that we're a good place to be. So, I guess where I differ is I don't want to give up, you know, my First Amendment right to go out and be able to talk to my constituents and address them, because that is our job. That's not their job. Their job is to do what we tell them policy-wise, period. So I agree with Joe that it's not his job to go out there and dispel rumors. That's our jobs. And if those rumors get big enough, all of us will be out of office. Or if what we put out there people disagree with, all of us will be out of office. So it's our job to go out there, I think, and to actually be able to conversate with people and to let them know what's going on, give them information. And, you know, I would challenge, you know, I'm very measured in what I post. So I know that I'm not putting it, I would never put out anything slanderous. I would never put out anything. In fact, how many times have I voted no and you guys have voted yes? I don't go on Facebook and go, you know, that commission voted against me. I'm, you know, and that's not what this is. When a decision is made, whether who votes on it, the commission made that decision. And I've always been that way, and I'll always be that way. So I think that if we're going down the route of elected officials being able to talk or not talk to our constituents, I'm on the side of always that open communication.
Just one thing, and we've mentioned this before, is the concern that I had is, like you said, you want to correct when it gets to a certain level. And my concern is if you're going to correct this time, you need to correct all the time. How does somebody come in and say, well, and I'm not picking on the mayor, but how does an elected official respond to that comment, but they're not responding to my comment? That's where I get concerned. So it's either an all or nothing, in my opinion.
But in that case, I mean, it would just fall on me. So it's like that person's mad at me because I didn't respond. So,
well, it falls on you, but you are the city.
But the difference is if there's a rumor out there and I see that, I'm not going to call you because I know you won't do it and say, Joe, this has got to be fixed. I'm just not going to do that. And in reality, I mean, maybe the other commissioners want the rumor to be out there.
But how big
So
does the rumor have to be in order to respond? Yeah.
that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
But that's my point.
That doesn't matter though.
But you're only responding to some, not all.
So, but that doesn't matter. There's no law that I have to respond to everybody. Joe, in fact, I know there's people that you don't respond to. You know that.
Oh,
you don't
Okay,
have
Mayor,
to respond to
can I-
everybody.
Can I just have a little?
John-
input here?
John
Okay,
was-
go ahead, John.
And I applaud you for trying to answer all these questions. My concern is, when do we respond and when do we don't respond? And is an individual elected official's response symbolic of the entire commission? I know you've been very careful of it,
Fair.
but there may be some time where you have a personal opinion and you fire something off, which may not reflect the entire commission. My concern is when I listen to this seminar, you guys all listen to this seminar?
Yeah.
My concern is, and he said it, the only type of communication where there's not a public record required is a conversation.
Right.
I believe that if there's a rumor on social media somewhere, my concern is that there's a conversation going out there about speed bumps. And you put a comment, I'll look into speed bumps. I'll bring it up to the commission. Okay, that's fair, right? And then I joined this group 3 months later and someone asked me about speed bumps and I respond to it. Now we have that meeting, we have a communication, even though the meeting may have been 3 months apart, but you and I communicated outside the sunshine. And then someone comes to Scott and says, I want a copy of that public record. He doesn't know what I'm on or you're on or who's on, and he doesn't get it. And then we get sued for that. My solution to it would be, I'm an old guy, you see the conversation there, you type back to the person, please personal message me or contact me at my cell phone, boom. Then you have communication with the person because anything you put out there is out there forever. And Valerie has to retain it forever. And if it's your private communication, Valerie really doesn't have to. You're the best at this, I'm sure. You screenshot and all that stuff. I don't know how to do any of that stuff. But my concern is that if you pick up the phone and talk to the citizen, what a great way to communicate. Nothing gets lost. Oh, he had all caps on, he must be mad at me.
Nothing's
Or
nuanced,
he
yeah.
put a semicolon
Nothing
instead of a
nuances.
period or a comma, and oh, it changes the whole context. So the written communication scares me. I've had conversations with close friends and family members that got blown out. Autocorrect. I didn't say that. But that's my concern, is that I think
Inflection.
we need to be transparent, but my concern is that by reacting to every situation, we may just create a bigger problem than that little problem is anyways. And I don't know how to fix it.
Well, and I will say though,
Yeah.
even if you say, "Hey, give me a phone call," now it's a
Right.
public record. So you still have that same problem. No matter if you respond, now it's a public record.
Right.
Period. So you do have that. What won't be public record is
Is
your
your
conversation
conversation. Right.
to them. So it won't be your personal stance. But that's where it falls on each of us. So I mean, if you choose not to, conduct the way you are a politician, that's the way that you are. If she chooses to, engage and I choose to engage, that's the way we do it, or vice versa.
My
So-
fear is,
that's
how
not-
do I know that you guys have never communicated on an issue? Do I have to go back 17 years since Facebook was created and see if you ever responded to that group?
How do you know we don't call each other, in the middle of the night? It's the same thing. You don't have to look back. I mean, first off, I've never violated sunshine. I'm not going to violate sunshine. Before I've ever commented on anything, I check to make sure that nobody has commented. And even likes can be construed as a possible, right? There hasn't been any rulings that I know of yet on that, but it could be because someone likes something someone said, and then if you agree to it. So there is an impetus, there's a big criteria for all of us to make sure that that's not happening before we comment on anything. So someone may say, hey, John, your best friend says the city of Holly Hill is really great and, just says something else about something. I wish you'd fix these parks. And you say, yes, I agree. And then if I like that,
Right.
suddenly that could be
Two
construed.
votes. Yeah.
So,
Can I have just a minute?
yep.
I'm not saying I'm trying to take away your First Amendment rights. I'm not saying I'm not trying to communicate with our citizens. I'm not saying any of that. because ever since I ran for office, that was my platform, is better communication with my constituents. I've said it every time I've had to run. I mean, it's obviously something very important to all of us. I know we all communicate in different ways. You're bigger into social media than I am, but I'm pretty big into it because that's how I have to communicate with my family up north. All I'm saying is, do your videos, do whatever you want to do to get information out. Funnel it through the city's website, or the city's Facebook rather, because that then takes out any other issue between the five of us, and it just goes through our official Facebook page. Communicate all you want to. I'm not trying to limit that. For goodness sakes, I would never do that. We need to be able to do that, but it needs to be done through the official Facebook page. That's my whole point. Yes.
I could make it really simple for everybody. This would be my suggestion, is that when you're on social media, be factual and keep your opinions to yourself. Don't have an opinion about something. Well,
But if you like something, that's your opinion.
well, that, and
Could be
it's like you
easier said
said,
than
there's
done.
no precedent yet with that whole liking thing, but I can see it coming.
Yeah.
If your job
Oh,
is,
yeah.
if your job, and I agree with you, because I get it. If you're on social media, and to me, it doesn't matter whether it's, somebody said, well, the toilet paper is red, and somebody said it's blue, and really it's white. It's a simple thing, right? It's still a rumor. So I think that you can remain factual by dispelling rumors and setting people straight. You don't have to give an opinion on whether you agree that this street should be paved or this one is paved, because now what you've done is you put it out there for the rest of the commissioners or mayor to see, and that's a problem. So I think the best thing we can do is just be factual when we're responding, either as an employee or as an elected official. I think that would help.
And never argue, because you
Correct.
never win an argument, no matter what. If someone's arguing, they're going to be right no matter how many facts you give them. And so I have a strict policy about never arguing. I give facts, and that's it. So, I see what you're saying, but I disagree. I like to be, quick to it, and if
Well, now you just
And-
told
and-
me earlier it took you 10 hours to respond to the one that you were communicating
Yeah, we
about.
got
But
that.
for
Let's
instance,
go
video,
back.
no, for instance, no, that's wrong. You're mixing my words. The video, for instance, I thought about what I was going to say for a few hours.
Right.
I went, filmed it, immediately posted it within a couple minutes. So, that's not, fully right, and I don't want to have to send this to them every single time, and then do they vet it? And what if you don't agree with the information I send them?
Well,
you're still going to have a problem. So I don't see
I guess
the problem.
if you don't like it that way, then it's not going to change, but then it just takes away my ability to also comment on those groups.
But it doesn't.
Yes, it does.
No, it doesn't. No. So if you want to comment, go ahead and comment. If I haven't commented, so you go ahead and comment, and then I can't comment. So
That's what she
it's-
just said.
That's
That's
what
what
she's saying.
I'm
Right, the
saying.
first one out blocks everyone else.
Yeah, it's
Exactly.
the first one to the punch.
Exactly.
First one in.
First come, first served.
Check my Facebook
This
all the
goes
time.
back to just what I said.
I think if you had
Remain
your-
factual. Don't give
Have your
opinions
own
on
thoughts.
things.
Right.
If you remain factual,
Then
it
who
won't
cares
matter.
who it came from?
Well, there's absolutely
let's-
no way I would
What if you
put
don't have
it.
the facts right?
So let me ask this question, because I'm not out there in the social media world,
But
so
he
I don't know
knows-
what
but he
you're
knows.
talking about with the street paving. So we put out a street paving list, and some people were complaining that this should be paved and not that.
Specifically Flemish. Yeah.
Okay, so we put out the fact, here's the list. What more needs to be said? Here's the list.
So that I responded to that. We are going to pave Flemish. It is in our plan. Commission has already talked. We've already agreed. It is coming down the line. We're not paving it right now in this project. We're paving it, and so
Antoine's fault. That's what I was.
Yeah, it's a good.
Well, see, that was very factual, and that right there, and
Well,
I
that's it. In my opinion, the only fact is the list that's being paved now. Because anything could happen to that list next month. It could change. That's my fear. That list
Until you
could
change it.
well,
Maybe not.
I gotta say, Joe, on this particular issue, I'd be very pissed if that happened because
you could be.
okay, on our list, Flemish is number one, and this commission has
Right.
talked. The only reason we did not pave the road was because
Is that what it's getting at?
of the big
Right.
trucks
Right.
pulling
I'm
onto
not saying
it.
it's possible. I'm
They're
just saying
finishing.
it's possible. We get a hurricane, we
Right.
blow out all
So
our
bad
money.
example. Bad example.
No, he's
it's
trying to make
anything.
the point.
Don't say
That's
that.
There's 3 of them out there right now.
That's what I think is.
Well, I mean, anything can happen.
The only-
So
the only
any
thing
plans
that's-
for the future are just that. Future goals
Right.
is the way I look at
Yeah,
it.
and that's how I look. It's only just what's now. You know, not. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying I'm concerned that something could change. You know, budgets change as you see all the time, and that's why I was just using that as an example. So when Scott's saying just the facts, well, the facts is here's the paving list. When is this other street going to get paved? I don't know if I'd answer that because I don't.
I didn't give a date at all.
I don't
said
know what-
it's getting paved.
I don't
It's
know what
going
it
to be
is.
paved, Yeah.
Well,
Just
every
not during this.
Every
project.
street's gonna get
I can
paved.
assure you, every street in the city is getting paved.
On the realm of factual, pretty factual, Joe.
So that's what I'm trying to figure out. So.
What I'm trying to say is you know, it was a factual thing, so that's the way that it is. So.
Mr. Mayor, just
Yeah.
something Commissioner Penny said, that there's times on the city page that I tag something Scott I need some direction on, because then now I'm asking you to be involved with something in a story. If that's the case, I notice when you do it, you don't do that, which is probably better. Scott just posts a story. I notice when I've done it, I tag, and I'm like, you know what? According to what I'm reading, I'm not going to continue to be able to do that.
No, you're
because-
okay to do that
Mhm.
unless we're going to be voting on something. So if it's
If
a
I
ribbon cutting,
I pop in, let's say, the Pictona stuff, right? They did an aerial of that, and there's still a lot of activity with it. But then I tag people in it. I'm like, you know what? The way that Scott posts is he posts. If you happen to see the city page and do something, that's your prerogative.
I'd rather
I don't
have
include
I'd
you.
rather have it on the city page myself. That's just for
I'm
me.
increasing viewership by
Right.
tagging everybody,
Exactly.
but not exactly probably
I guess what I'm
practice.
saying, I can go, I can do
I
whatever
don't
you
think
want.
that's a violation.
I can do
Well,
whatever you
yeah,
want. We can go
yeah,
so far as to hire somebody that monitors all social media and responds to social media. The
I don't
problem
think we
is
wanna do
unless
that.
you're sitting
You
in
might
my
end up having
office
it.
No,
Yeah.
they don't wanna
and
do
know
that.
everything
It's
that's
not-
going on at every moment
Yeah,
to
it's-
respond to the
it's-
intruders, it's hard.
It's
But
it's
is
not
it-
information.
Right.
Keep in mind, I'm old.
I'm older.
On
He's older.
Facebook, it sounds to me that we have a Facebook page with very few viewers,
Yeah.
or members, or likes, or whatever it's called. Nick is doing his best effort to get the message out, so he's tagging all of us to get my 12 friends and your 12,000 friends. And
Is zero
to get the message out.
50,000, 9,000. That's true.
Wouldn't
Exactly.
it be in our best interest, and maybe we've tried this, and I don't, isn't there some way you can boost your post to,
Pay for it.
Of course you can.
pay like $5 and it boosts it to 1,200 people, and then
Scott,
encourage more people?
I'll let you answer that.
More people to like your thing, so that he doesn't have to tag me, because when he tagged me, and someone says something on something I didn't do anything
That's
with,
right.
it's now a public
Not-
record for me, and I didn't even have jack to do with it. But
true.
Nick drug me in.
I drug
Yeah.
him in.
That's
He did
why I
not
said
ask-
I'd rather
He did not
not-
ask to be in there. He's exactly right.
I've asked you before, but now I'm
And I don't know enough about that, Scott.
Well,
I don't know anything about that.
yeah, I'm hoping that we can have an advertising, basically it's an advertising budget.
Budget, right.
We
You know.
do, but we're gonna advertise events.
Right.
Right.
And if we are going to boost certain things, you know, that should come from the commission. And then it's tough because we only meet every 2 weeks. So, you know, if we know a big project is coming, for instance, pickleball, right? We want to get the word out about pickleball. We would say, hey, we're going to put $200 in advertising budget to get the word out. So I agree with you on that point.
But like sandbags, you were out doing sandbags,
Right.
and you posted stuff
Right.
on Facebook, and somehow it popped up and I saw it. Oh,
Right.
great.
Did you like it?
Because
But-
I tagged him in.
But I did. But should
I hope
that?
I didn't like it, but I think I did.
But I'm sure that Scott put that on the city page, or
We
where there's
both-
a
we
million
both
things
put it.
about, and Nick put it on there. But something like that, that's where public information we need to boost.
Right, right,
You know, and public safety we need to boost. Okay,
right.
there's a fire coming. you
Well,
know.
and I will say this though, Chief, I think you said, you know, not to like that, but for instance, if there's a post where I'm shoveling sandbags, that's not a voting issue for us, sandbags. So they could actually like it there's no conflict, but it's all public record. at all times. So as long as they don't say like, "Hey, we should really stop funding sandbags," then it would be a problem. But had another point to that sandbag thing to boost it. Yeah, that was what I was gonna say. So, and this goes to an important point, Penny, and you may appreciate this. With the sandbag things, I've got maybe like there's 2,000 views on it, hundreds of likes. If it was through the Facebook of the city, there would be like 4 likes and 50 views.
That's a little
And-
steep, but yeah. I know
You're saying you're an influencer?
That's a little.
So how do
I don't want to say that.
So how do we get those?
How do we get your people to like our city page?
We have to contact Facebook, which I've tried multiple times,
You
to
gotta
take a
just join.
hold and actually create us a real Facebook page, because we have a Facebook page that's not recognized by Facebook because the original Facebook page was taken over by someone else. So I know Scott's tried to contact Facebook over and over. Until we take over that Facebook page, the algorithms of Facebook are not going to push our post out. It's only going to be people that make sure that they go on and every time we post a ribbon cutting or any information that they like it. It's the only way that algorithm is going to show it to you again. So we all see it. We're probably the top fans of the page because we always like it and share it.
I'm gonna quit liking everything.
Well,
So am I.
I'm not gonna like anything.
The conversation has turned squarely on the mayor's
Yes.
comments.
Yeah.
And that's not the purpose of it. The purpose of this is I wanted a citywide social media policy that, do I do a separate one for elected officials?
No, but that's what I was talking about. Everything that's official.
But what happens if
But
Chief?
through
I
our
agree
Facebook.
with Chris, the mayor. I don't need him going out and doing something and then sending it to Nick going, hey, put this on the website. I don't want to be the police of that.
But what happens if Chief Blaine goes to Disney World and posts something on it, and then a citizen posts back, Disney World is terrible. No elected official, no department head should ever go to Disney World. Is that a public record?
If it's on our webpage, it is. If it's on his, it's not.
I would never put him up on.
If it's on his personal page, it's got nothing to do with the city operation.
But if he's on there with this logo on his shirt, taking a
It
picture,
should be on there.
I would never put him on there. Not a personal.
But, the difference,
Unless there's a fire at Disney World. We're helping.
as an
Employee
employee,
Facebook account.
yeah, see, this all started with, as an employee, I do not want an employee going on their personal pages bashing the city.
right? But we want them to go on and say good things about our city. But how can we control the content of what they say legally?
Many organizations say you cannot bash your employer. Period. It's a termination event. If you bash your employer, you can be terminated, whether it's on your event or you're standing in the line at Publix and you say, I work for the biggest SOB in the world and I think he's this, this, and this. You can be fired. It's in, that's in our regular policy. All I'm doing is applying that policy now to social media.
And in our general orders?
Yeah. So it's growing from what my intention was, and it evolved into the political aspect of it.
Right.
And it wasn't intended for that, but it falls into that. See, I want to be able to, I've had it. I've gone to somebody and said, you posted something on your personal page, I'm going to recommend you take that down pretty quick. What if I don't? Well, I'll see you in my office at 8 o'clock tomorrow.
Right.
But so that's how this started. But then when the policy came out, somebody said, does that apply to us? Well, technically, I guess it does. That's the problem. So I may be able to solve it by just separating here's the employee.
I think it affects the elected officials more because we got the sunshine laws to
Absolutely,
worry
because
about.
you're an elected official on your
I'm an elected
personal
official all the
page.
time. You're an
All
employee
the
all the
time.
time.
That's right.
But, well then,
Well, I think
then it needs to go even further than that. Stay the hell off of Facebook between 8 and 5.
I don't have a Facebook. Well, we're getting to that. That's
I mean-
going to result after this because that's going to be the next step is social media. If you're on your personal social media account, you better be doing it between 12 and 1. Because if you're doing it before or after that, you're on the city's time, and we're not going to do that anymore.
There's no
Well,
simple solution.
the way
Yeah, there is.
that it's written now is
Yeah.
for employees only. So we're not employees, correct?
We
Are
are.
we employees?
You're not employees.
Get a W-2,
Like-
man.
Yeah, we get a W-2.
Try to say we're not an
Right, we
employee.
switched-
So we are
yeah, switched
employees.
years ago. So technically you are employees.
So then this would, then what we have on the books already and whatever we do affects us altogether.
Well, no, you don't fall under our personal rules and regulations per se. You know, you don't get vacation time and you don't get.
Right.
So under the rules and regs, they don't necessarily apply to you. But when we get to social media, because of what the world has come to, that changes the playing field because, you know, like Scott will tell you, not this Scott, the other Scott will say, you're the mayor 100% of the time, and I know you don't like hearing that, but you lose some of your rights as a citizen when you become an elected official.
So you,
You just do.
You might not lose them, but you've exposed yourself more.
Right, you've exposed.
You're
them.
always.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
trash
I don't
can.
know, you kind of lose them because there's certain things that you want to say and you can't.
You can't.
Well, you can.
Well,
Just get
through
online.
my whole career at the police department and since I've been an elected official, I choose to,
You choose to.
to
Stay
For me, I don't, yes, you guys are employees, but there's nothing in here that we could impose upon you because you're elected.
You can't
officials.
penalize.
I can't
So
You can't fire us.
So what I would suggest is this is not a policy for elected officials as much as it's an education. I just want to make sure you guys don't get yourself in trouble. And what I would say going forward, I'm going to save this particular 1 hour long
Delete the first
slideshow.
48 minutes.
Oh, I know. But I think in going forward
I
that
can't do
elected
that.
officials should watch it. Because, again, I feel it's kind of my job to, safeguard you guys, but also safeguard the city.
Right.
So-
And that's what I was saying, is it's individual on each of us. I mean, I can't dictate how you guys handle your public records, but I'm very strict with mine. And I will say this, to your point, that if you do ever see something that you're upset with, that if I post, feel free to bring that up at a public, in a meeting. Don't call me.
Call me.
But bring that up, and I'm willing to take. We are a team, okay, and we've said that many times, and so I'm not looking to bash anyone, throw anyone under the bus. So if anyone's ever upset with something, definitely talk to me during a public meeting about it, just as I would if you posted something that I really disagreed with and wanted to talk about.
Scott, okay, I have a Facebook page. I don't have any friends. I have an all-state Facebook page.
you got a couple.
But
How many clients?
but what I am taking away from this is that I should create a
Yeah.
Commissioner John Penny Facebook page,
Yeah.
and anything I want to post on the city, I should post on that, and go so far as to go back to my personal page and identify myself as an all-state agent, not an elected official, because with that designation of elected official on my personal,
That's public.
that's public. John Morgan's going to request that one, isn't he?
Oh yeah.
So I need to unidentify myself and just be a person, and then have a separate identity as an elected official on social media.
In your case, what I would say to you is not only that, but you should not be John Penny, the Allstate agent. You should have a separate Allstate agent.
I do. I'm Penny and
Okay,
Associates.
and then
Penny
your
and
personal one, you
Associates.
don't.
I'm John Penny.
Because what ends up happening is somebody's on John Penny's page, doesn't know that you're an Allstate agent, or does know.
Right.
And then you say something they don't like, now you lost a customer.
Do you have an elected official page and a personal page, or are they just?
No, that's what he
I
says.
just have one,
So there's,
but
I
now
have
I'm
a
gonna have
page,
two.
an elected official that I do any city stuff, and then on my personal, I only post pictures of my kids
I
So
know.
is that the one you're commenting? Which one are you commenting?
from my mayor's page, Mayor Crispia.
Is what you're commenting about the streets and all that
Right.
stuff? Oh, see, that's easier then, because then that's.
See, that's what Scott said in the beginning. We should have.
Yeah.
We should.
And
then that's-
And it's all
Yeah.
public.
Yeah, if your personal page,
That's
you're
what
not
I'll do
doing
then,
any
I'll
of that.
just separate mine.
So you should
Yeah.
never like anything from your personal page with the city or anything like that. Go to your elected official page.
Right.
And like it, but if Chris liked it first, don't like it then. 'cause
Yeah, if he
it's
beats
gonna-
me too.
He's on it. He's about 3 o'clock in the morning liking stuff.
Only
get
if
a couple hours
only if
on it.
something
Johnny.
were,
Pizza
Voting
Johnny,
in the
that's-
if it's a ribbon cutting, we can all like
He
it.
made you.
I think you
That's why
know,
the personnel meeting.
So I-
You need to go to human
At the
resources.
end of the meeting, I still don't know what we're gonna do.
I know, because we didn't actually talk about the social media.
We didn't pick
policy.
which one we liked the best.
But here's my problem is so I could only read 2 of those. The third one, I guess ours.
I didn't see one that had us. I just saw
Me either.
samples of other cities.
Yeah,
3
there's.
documents.
But I couldn't.
I could only
the
open
third.
2 of them.
Yeah, me
You got
too.
a Facebook link?
Yeah.
That's the one that-
So,
Well, we'll send it out again as a
Right.
separate individual item.
and we all need to go over
And
it.
if you have questions or comments, send it back to me. And, really what I'm trying to glean here is some kind of consensus of where we're gonna go.
Right.
And, more than likely, probably not gonna be sued by John Morgan. More than likely, you're gonna piss off one of your other commissioners. That's really what it is.
All right.
We know,
That's
Commissioner
Penny.
Oh.
Commissioner Penny's.
I don't comment.
no,
I'll
at
tell
the end of the day, I think whatever social media policy goes to the employees, we should abide by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we have had rogue commissioners in the past
So no
that didn't like
posting on social
anybody.
media during work hours.
Are we done?
All right. This meeting's adjourned.
It's not an easy